Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is Trash Will Always Be Trash, a romance manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 83 on. Its main character is Layla, a woman that was betrothed to the Willot household's young master, Philin, and was very much loved by the Duke and Duchess of said household. However, things took a bad turn as both the Duke and Duchess died in an unfortunate accident that left both Layla and Philin to take over the duties of the household. Layla took over the affairs of the house while Philin headed to the battlefield. Years later, instead of a happy ending or even a sad one, Philin comes back from the battlefield with a mistress that is already pregnant with Philin's child. Clearly this is not going to end well, but who's it not going to end well for is up in the air. The story is 7 out of 10. With a touching past that is filled with love from the previous Duke and Duchess, the fact that things took a drastic and sharp turn, at least for the readers, suggests a pitiful and hard road ahead for Layla. This quote-unquote mistress, though, is she merely just that, or does she have other motives for seducing Philin? The characters are 6 out of 10. You may find that Layla's stubbornness and attachment to the Willot household a bit irritating given the road ahead of her, but at the same time, considering that she has spent so many years there, you could make the case that it's hard for her to imagine a life without Philin and the household. Hopefully she can move forward and grow from these experiences. The art is 8 out of 10. From pretty characters to great illustrations that will both frustrate and tug at your heartstrings, this manhwa provides a good backdrop to the story that it's telling, albeit showing an annoying viewpoint sometimes. So if you're a fan of romance manhwas and don't mind a main character who has grown attached to the family she got to know, but has a hard road of payback ahead of her, then Trash Will Always Be Trash is one for you. This next manhwa is the corpse-picking genius warrior in the Broken Game, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 44 on. Its protagonist is Dalen, an individual who is reincarnated into this very difficult game world. This game world was known for being a very difficult one in his past life, and he poured a lot of money and effort to get far into it. Now, as Dalen, he will go on this adventure himself, but all of his previous game lives are there to help him. Dalen's ability allows him to absorb a portion of the power of those previous lives. It could be stats, gear, skills, etc. that are related to those past characters. Will he be able to make it to the end of the story or game? The story is 7 out of 10. An interesting power from the main character, considering the amount of characters / lives he's used to try and clear the game so far. The potential stories, explanation, information, and buffs he can receive could truly be endless. Of course, if Dalen can properly locate, find, and clear the scenarios where his previous lives failed, it might just be possible. The characters are 8 out of 10. Because there have been so many lives trying to clear this world previously, each of Dalen's past characters can prove to be a learning experience and background for him on what troubles he had to overcome. Of course, it's not limited to just this, and hopefully Dalen will be surrounded by others in the future. The art is 6 out of 10. At this point in its story, there hasn't been anything special to take note of in regards to its art style or illustration. It provides just an adequate depiction of Dalen's adventure that is overall just okay. So if you're looking for a reincarnation manhwa that showcases the growth of a character based on their past lives, even though this is their last one it seems like, then the corpse-picking genius warrior in the Broken Game would be one to keep your eye on. A simple guide to surviving as a stepmom is our next manhwa to go over. It's a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 48 on. Luella Massimel is the name of its main character, and she was originally the villainess of a novel who, to put it simply, took advantage of her authority to selfishly benefit herself. That is, until our protagonist reincarnates as Luella. Now given a chance to rectify the mistakes of Luella, even though it will be a hard hill to climb, she resolves herself to properly treat her stepson Hirua and to ensure that he has a happy life. Will she be able to succeed, or will the actions of the past Luella come back to bite her sooner than she expects? The story is 8 out of 10. A character filled with a detestable past, yet a promising future. There's a long road ahead for our Luella to traverse through. One nice thing though is that she will never be the villainous stepmother from the novel, but she still has to live with the fact that she's the source of pain and suffering for her son. Will it get better, or will she choose to atone in other ways? The characters are 7 out of 10. The growth of those around Luella post-possession/reincarnation is a sight to see, from both the perspectives of her son to the employees of the houses. Her past transgressions still follow her even though it wasn't actually her in the first place. She grows to accept this though and puts forward the ones she should be caring for first. The art is 8 out of 10. From its alternative cute art styles to its overall atmosphere, the manhwa provides a mix of traumatic experiences, familial bonding or growth, and romantic vibes that suit the various scenes it's trying to depict in its story. So if you're looking for a reincarnation manhwa that looks to solve the regrets of being a bad parent, similar to I'll Raise You Well in This Life, Your Majesty from my previous videos, but is done by a third party / first person perspective instead, then a simple guide to surviving as a stepmom would be a good one to look at. Our next manhwa to take a look at is The Knight Who Only Lives Today, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 22 on. Its story centers around a man by the name of Encrit, a captain of a squad in a fantasy world on a battlefield with particularly problematic members who only listen to Encrit. If this was any other story, you would expect the main character to be strong, skillful, and charismatic maybe. Instead, he is your run-of-the-mill basic average Joe. That is, until the day of his death came, and he relives the today over and over again until he can survive that day. What is in store considering this new ability, and how much resolve does Encrit have to keep moving forward? Or will he just go insane? The potential is 9 out of 10. With a somewhat unique twist on the regression/multiple lives genre, The Knight Who Only Lives Today's premise and room for story to develop is quite large. Any simple plot or enemy that gets in Encrit's way will cause him to relive today, but what are the circumstances for it to happen? Is there a hard limit? What's the end goal, and why is it him specifically? The art is 8 out of 10. It's a great rendition of the curiosity yet unending devotion to getting stronger for Encrit. But on the flip side, it also doesn't shy away from the brutality that is the reality of war for a mere foot soldier. Will it be able to keep this up, or will the manhwa show us other sides of itself? Overall, I'm quite curious on where Encrit's journey will go. So if you're a fan of fantasy regression stories but with a main character who constantly dies and relives the same day over and over again, then The Knight Who Only Lives Today should be kept on your list to read. Additional thanks to those who recommended it to me. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video as we look at how one of the manhwas mentioned in a previous video is doing as I've continued reading it. Slight spoiler warning as we will be discussing the events in the manhwa since my previous opinion. Today's highlight is Bad Maids, which I've now read up to chapter 32 on. Info card in the description will have links to my original opinion. Since the last time going over this manhwa, Julia has been hard at work to ensure that her overall revenge and survival are ensured, considering that the political landscape is slowly being affected by the actions of her, the prince, and Coco. If Julia's previous lives are enough to provide her confidence in her actions based on those past lives' events, then we are still in for quite a spin, because there's enough room for things to still grow. In addition, there must be some type of romantic interest, storyline, or issue that will have to come up just from the latest set of chapters considering the character's actions around her. Of course, I doubt Julia would notice anything considering how dense she is to anything romantic related, except for her goal from living these multiple lives. My previous score for this manhwa was 6 out of 10 for art and 8 out of 10 for potential. The art goes up by 2 points to 8 out of 10 as there's been multiple improvements in my opinion. from the breadth that the illustrations give us about the sides of Julia and other characters, showing more of their mindsets in these situations, to the genuine care for each other that Julia herself gets from those other characters, are just some examples of the improvements that the art showcases after it's had some time. In addition, some of the events that play out are a genuine treat. The potential goes up by half a point to 8.5 out of 10, as there are now foreshadowing events and additions to the plot that overall give more room for the story to dwell into, from leaning into more potential romantic interests and things like that to more companions and friends that are in need of assistance. I do hope it's able to deliver the final goal that seems to be directing Julia's actions, though. So if you're a fantasy manhwa enjoyer that's looking for a more political story or of a main character influencing things in the background rather than in the foreground, then Bad Maids would be right up your alley to give a shot. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Bad Maids. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.